Hello and welcome again to another edition of Lost in Science. Half an hour on your radio where we, the Lost in Science team, talk about science. My name's Stu, and on this week's show I'm going to talk about a little topic that some people might be overly familiar with, maybe unfortunately familiar with. I'm actually going to be talking about antihistamines and why
hay fever!
Hay fever season. If you live in the southern parts of the country, certainly it's hay fever season. So I'm going to talk about antihistamines and why are they antihistamine and what is a histamine even?
Yeah.
And
What's the problem with histamines? Are you going to tell us why we don't like histamines?
well, we kind of do like them. We just don't like them in this context.
Okay.
But I'll explain that in excruciatingly fine detail later in the show. Chris, what have you got for us?
Sounds like it's nothing to be sneezed at, Stu. I hope you're not going to do that joke later on because I just...
Not anymore.
No. I'm looking at some recent research to find that attempts to find out whether there is a biological basis for the placebo effect. You know, is the placebo effect real? Is the question that is being asked effectively.
Yes.
Is it Claire? Is it real?
If I believe it is, it is.
Well, even if you don't believe it is, it may be.
Yeah.
Well, no. Look, we'll wait till you're here. Okay, you know, we'll just get to that. All right. Anyway.
Okay. Claire, what are you going to talk about?
Well, mine's actually my story I'm bringing this week. It's actually a seasonal phenomena as well. And with the September flooding that happened in the southern part of the country, came a lot of water on the ground. And with water comes mosquitoes. And now we are in the depths of like just thousands and thousands of mosquitoes around Melbourne and Victoria. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. But
yes.
there are heaps of mozzies. Yeah,
Yes.
in the studio as well. In the studio. I'm sure we can get a better soundbite than Chris doing that. But but I'm gonna have a look at why this is, and what's going on and why it's such a bad thing. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not a bad thing.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's a really human-centric way to look at it, Chris, but...
I am
Hey,
human.
at least in the southern parts of the country, we don't have to worry about things like malaria and other tropical diseases. So we're
Dengue.
not having to worry about those
Chicken
things, at least. Anyway, stay tuned.
Yeah, get the
And,
buzz on that later.
I thought I would look at something on the show that might be in the forefront of people's minds at this time of year, and certainly in some parts of the country. I'm going to be talking about antihistamines.
So when you say the forefront of people's minds, you're talking about the sinus
The
area
nasal-
in
the
particular.
nasal
Yeah,
area.
pretty much the nasosinal area of their head.
Yeah.
Obviously, the reason many people will be aware of the value of antihistamines at this time of year is their role in the treatment of hay fever, aka allergic rhinitis. Just for the scientific terminology. So allergies to specific pollens and other various things like dust and even plant hairs, little hairs on the plants, like the ones on the London plane trees, which are
I hate the
planted.
plane trees.
Oh, they're so cutty when they get in your eyes as well.
Well, see, it was a good idea to plant them back when they planted them because they're ultra resistant to pollution.
oh, right.
So they survived the coal burning
but why
industries.
why do they continue to plant them?
Because now
they
people are
have-
used to them.
No, they're not.
Yeah, but
Well, they like the look of them. That's what I'm saying. They like the look of them.
weren't they also going to inject them with plant hormones to get them to stop producing the fruit? That was a rumor going around.
It's not just the fruit. It's actually not the pollen of the plane trees. It's the little micro hairs that are covering all of the leaves and all the surfaces.
Oh, is
So,
it?
Yeah, they
Okay,
kind of
all right.
blow off and get up your nose. Obviously causing considerable misery if you're one of those susceptible people. But people get allergic to that anyway, but without having any other pollen allergies, because it's a physical irritant as well.
Oh,
But
right.
with the pollen allergies, if an allergy gets triggered, what it means is that the body's immune system recognizes a foreign substance as having entered the body, and it treats it as a dangerous invader. So pollen's not really going to do much in a human body. It's lost its way. It's failed in its effort to continue its species.
You're not giving it much credit here.
Well, look, it's wind-blown pollen, so let's,
So it's not going
it's
to.
Credit where
directionless.
credit's
It's
due.
directionless and aimless in the first place. It goes literally wherever the wind blows, and if it ends up your nose,
is it?
what's that?
It's not going to pollinate you.
Certainly
His
not.
job is over.
Yeah,
what I think was-
its brief existence is done, but it does decide that it'll, well, not decide, but it does take us down with it in a lot of cases. It makes us suffer for its failure in pollinating its own species.
This is very judgmental, really, isn't it?
Judging grains of pollen, yes, I'm pretty harsh. So the presence of the allergen in the body triggers production of histamines
Histamine. There's that word.
in our cells. And these are chemicals that are designed to ward off possible pathogenic invaders. And they generally do a really good job. But what their job is kind of promoting inflammation and promoting snot and promoting watery eyes to flush the stuff out of your body, partly is one of the things that they're trying to do. So even though they're not pathogenic things, the histamines still go through the motions and produce copious amounts of snot and cause inflammation, make your eyes itchy. Most commonly is the symptoms. They can also cause sinus congestion because of the action of vasodilation, so it makes all your veins more porous and all sorts of amazing things that keep us healthy most of the time. In the case of hay fever, it's just really annoying. So they also, histamines actually do, histamines, I'm never quite sure how to say that, but I'll stick with histamines. I started with histamines, so I'll go with histamines. They actually do a bunch of things we really need them to do, like regulating hunger and sleep patterns. Didn't know that about histamines. And making us recognize itchiness.
Oh, certainly I got the itchiness down, Pat. Thank you very much. But the hunger and sleep thing?
They're related to hunger and sleep. So there's 4 different kinds of histamine receptors in the body. Some of them are in the nose,
Yep.
and the head and the brain. There's other ones in the intestinal tract and in the digestive
Okay.
tract, and they do all different things throughout the body.
So they're
So
doing
you-
this stuff. Sorry.
So you'd really want to hope that the antihistamines that you were taking were targeting the right types of histamines, not the ones that are regulating hunger.
Well, this is one of the issues, is that antihistamines can, in some cases, make people put on weight because it makes them hungry all the time.
Is that why some make you sleepy as well?
That is exactly right. So,
oh my god!
so the antihistamines
That's why.
the antihistamines that you take for allergies can make you drowsy because they actually go into your brain, which is not where you want them to be. You want them to be operating in the bits that are playing up, your eyes and your nose and that sort of thing. But they cross
Sometimes it's the brain too.
cross the barrier into the brain and make you drowsy. So really old school antihistamines make you sleepy, and they have warnings saying, do not drive, do not operate heavy machinery.
Don't take too many Phenergan.
The ones we use these days don't. Well, they're designed to be much smaller doses, so they're not supposed to do those sorts of things. The ones commonly used for hay fever related allergies are H1 histamine receptor antagonists. So the histamine receptor is the part of our cells that recognize that the histamine's there and go about doing the things that it's supposed to trigger, which is make your nose run and make your eyes itch. So they go around and kind of try and shut that down. And the tablets that we take basically try and focus on the receptors in the facial area, so in your nose and around your eyes and all those sorts of things, because these receptors are everywhere because the histamines get released all over the place. So as I said, the older versions can be absorbed in the brain and makes people sleepy, but the new ones don't really do that as much. So most of them work. Most of the ones on the market work by stopping the symptoms. So they stop the histamines from getting to the histamine receptors, which triggers the cell to start doing the things that we want it to not do. And some of them can also reduce inflammation. So if you've got histamines that have already, if you walk out the door and you haven't taken your antihistamines, you'll get some inflammation happening pretty quickly. Some of the antihistamines will reduce that inflammation even though it's already started. So they haven't been there in time, but they can have a sort of retrospective effect.
Interesting. Which antihistamines might they be? I asking for a friend.
Well, the issue is with antihistamines is that you can actually build up a resistance to their effect.
Damn it.
Over the years.
Damn it.
In some cases. So some people who get really bad allergies have to go to their doctor and get injections of stronger antihistamines over time. And there are about 30 or 40 substances which are used as over-the-counter antihistamines. So if one doesn't work, you could potentially just try using another one, but it's probably better to go and see a doctor and say, what's going wrong here?
And there's like an immune therapy you can get as well, which gives you a longer term, I think.
Where they inject you with the allergen and your body gets used to it, so it stops producing the histamines in response.
So I guess what I'm saying is if you find you having to go to the doctor and get like the powerful, the industrial strength antihistamines, maybe you're better off just getting the immune therapy.
Yeah, there may be other options if you it can be quite debilitating.
What are they going to do? Make you snort a plane tree?
No, they just give you injections, I think.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Of whatever it is that you're allergic to.
I can just imagine if you're allergic to cats and your therapy is just like
Sniff a cat.
just like cat in the face or something like that. Just like smush it
Rub
in
it
your
in
face.
your face.
Yeah, that's gotta work.
That's gonna
That's science.
It's controlled.
So aversion
smushing.
therapy. I don't think allergies work that way. I think it's a bit more chemically based than that. But look, that was I was curious about what was so wrong with histamines, and obviously you can't shut them down. They can't make a drug that shuts down your histamine system forever because we need them for other things. But it's handy to know that we can get them to stop overreacting every once in a while when we need them to, when there's allergies out there that are making us miserable.
Yes, you are listening to Lost in Science, and I have a question for you. Is the placebo effect real?
I think it is. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's been like experimentally proven to be a thing.
Well, let us look at that. Let us actually look at that and find out what the experiments actually say. Because things
Such a placebo wowzer.
No, like all science, things aren't always as obvious as they seem. And you do hear a lot of stuff about placebos. There's a lot of hype about placebos, and I'm just going to try and.
Let us have the placebo.
Oh, come on. Okay,
all right.
But let's just talk about first of all what a placebo is.
Yeah,
we should
right.
explain that. A placebo it's something that is used usually in clinical trials. They give you something like a sugar pill or something like that. They used to basically trick people so they don't know whether they're getting the drug in question or not.
Yeah, so if it's a pill, then they give them a pill. If it's an injection, they give them an injection.
Yeah, if
but
it's something
there's
sometimes it's like it's a surgery, they'll give like fake surgery. They'll just pretend, I am cutting into you now, and say that kind of thing, and like poke them with a sharp stick, and they think they're being cut open. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff.
But wouldn't they have to really cut them open? Otherwise, the person would be like,
Well,
"Why
just
don't
put
I
them
have?"
under anaesthetic, and they just
That's right.
Puts in stitches. I don't know. They do this kind of stuff. This is actually
Surgeries are
done.
so good these days.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like you've been cut.
Pretty much. And so, yeah, the idea is it's meant to be able to compare the drug with basically compare it to not giving them the drug at all, but you want people to think they're getting something.
Or compare a treatment to having no treatment,
Effectively.
but removing the idea that we're just sitting you in this room
Yeah.
while everyone else gets the treatment.
Yeah,
you
because-
don't want them to know.
And this is because sometimes there are other factors that will make people get better, and you're trying to get rid of those other factors. And what you sometimes find with these experiments is that the placebo group, people getting the placebo will get better as well. And this is what people call the placebo effect. And there's, like I said, there's a lot about it. Sometimes you'll find, for instance, you'll get, say, your some of your more dodgy alternative therapies, like your homeopathy and those sort of things. And there'll be a study that basically says it works no better than placebo, to which they will then spin that around and say, aha, we harness the power of the placebo effect to make you better. So this is why it's worth asking about the benefits of the actual placebo effect. There's also, on the other side, there is, of course, the nocebo effect, which you may have heard of.
Nocebo.
Nocebo.
The
Nocebo.
nocebo.
Nocebo. It comes from a Latin thing, but it basically is where you get the placebos can make you worse. So sometimes, like, a drug will have harmful side effects, and people taking placebo arm of the trial will also get those side effects because it's all in the mind or something like that. Well, it's not all in the mind usually, but it's just something you have to control for that as well. You have to be aware that sometimes when people are getting a pill, they will think they'll get some negative effects and they will experience those. So yeah, that is the nocebo effect.
Ooh, I'd much rather the placebo than the nocebo effect.
Yeah. But anyway, I have been saying, how real is this anyway? And as I always boringly do when I ask these kind of medical questions, I go to the Cochrane Library, of systematic reviews, where they get independent group that examines all the trials on a particular question. And I typed in the word placebo, and there came up a nice trial called, basically to assess the effect of placebos on all clinical conditions. So placebo for everything. They just did a general placebo test.
Placebo for everything. Sounds
Yeah.
like a great campaign motto.
It does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? So what they essentially did, they found any trial they could, we basically tested to see whether placebos worked or not. So this is not comparing a drug to a placebo, comparing a placebo to nothing at all, effectively. And a whole lot of different conditions. And what they found was it wasn't as kind of straightforward as the nice story we like to hear about the placebo effect. There's a lot of mixed results. Some studies would show that you had a strong benefit from taking a placebo. Others would show there was no benefit. Because it looked at mostly things which have kind of a more subjective component to, or some sort of involvement of the mind, I guess. And, there's all these things that you wouldn't have expected to be an effect. Things like smoking, dementia, depression, obesity, hypertension, anxiety, all these kind of things. And there was not really strong effects in any of those. And in fact, generally when they did find an effect, often it wasn't statistically significant. So they concluded in this study that there was kind of a low quality evidence that has a benefit for pain and nausea. But even then, kind of different studies will give you different results. So you can't even say taking a placebo will give you a benefit. And they think that a lot of the differences in the trials are due to just statistical differences and all these other confounding factors. So yeah, when people say that the placebos are powerful and can heal you through the power of mind over matter, it turns out that's not necessarily the case when studied by science. However, that doesn't stop people from then still trying to pin down whether there is actually something real going on there. And this is because there may be some other variables that can affect whether these studies are what you're measuring. And one theory is that there are only certain people who will have a placebo response, and they're called placebo responders. So some people don't.
People who want to believe.
People who want to believe, effectively, the Agent Molders of the world, if you will.
Agent Molders.
So there was an experiment. This is what what I want to talk about. There was an experiment that was done recently where they did some functional fMRI scan of placebo responders to see how their brains responded when they were given a placebo. So these are patients who had osteoarthritis of the knee. They were in pain, and they gave either painkillers or placebo, and they looked to see who actually had a response to the placebo, and they put them in the scanner to see which parts of their brains lit up. And they found that placebo responders, when given a placebo, would have a kind of a bit in the in the the mid-frontal gyrus of the brain, which is kind of in the frontal lobe, sort of the bit where I'm pointing here, kind of near the front of my head. Can you see that?
Just above your eye, sort of if you draw a line from your eye and your ear, where they would meet those two lines.
Yeah.
Sort of where people have their side part of their hair.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So it was that they're kind of would light up in that area, and it was a different area to the bits that light up when they're given real painkillers, or proper painkillers. So it seems to indicate that this is perhaps a particular region of the brain that responds to the placebo, doesn't respond to actual painkillers. So it's different to the painkiller response. It's a separate phenomenon going on. So they said, well, this could give us a clue of what is actually happening in the brains of people who are responding to placebos. Maybe we can find now a way to harness the power of the placebo effect in this sense. That's not necessarily that. I mean,
What does that area of the brain normally do?
Well, the frontal lobes are kind of your executive functions, things like your planning and coordination, that kind of stuff.
Strategic management and those sort of executive.
Those kind of things. It's where your personality is often in that frontal part of the brain. So it's all those higher functions, if you will, of the brain. So it kind of makes sense that there's something in your brain that is going, mind over matter thing, that I'm going to respond to this fake thing that's going to be in that part of the brain. So that kind of makes sense. But again, the trouble is that these fMRI things aren't always totally reliable. People have done other brain scan studies of placebos in the past and found different parts of the brain. So, we'll see how that pans out. But, they've said that one possibility there might be, if you can identify who is a placebo responder and a non-responder, you could perhaps exclude them from clinical trials, so you're not distorting the results. Another possibility is that if people are known placebo responders, perhaps you could give them placebos for their pain relief, and that's totally fine, because there is an ethical problem with placebos. So I mentioned before the idea of some of these alternative therapies that are no better than placebo, and people say, wow, well, if it's no better than placebo, we should just give people placebos because clearly they're getting a benefit from it, or a subjective benefit from it. But normally it's considered unethical for doctors to give patients that they know are bogus. To knowingly mislead their patients is considered unethical. Yeah. But if you can have an open label placebo and the people are going to respond, then there might be kind of a loophole around that. So look, that is one possibility. I guess another option is that we continue looking for medicines that actually work, instead of trying to find more effective placebos or more powerful placebos. But it's possible that if you are one of these placebo responders, you can just get off on your sugar pills and you'll be fine.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop.
Lost in Science.
Not sure if you've noticed, but much of Victoria is currently experiencing somewhat of a plague of mosquitoes. They're swarming everywhere. If you happen to find yourself in a park at dusk, then you will definitely return home anemic because all the mosquitoes will suck you dry.
Not me.
What?
They don't go for me usually.
Oh, come on.
They really don't. No, if there's anyone else around, they go, oh, there's mozzies everywhere. And I just oh, is there? I didn't notice. But they don't seem to go for me as much as they go for other people.
And what happens if you do get
If I'm by myself, then I get bitten.
Yeah, but then do you come up in a rash or?
Oh, yeah, it gets itchy.
Or get a mozzie bite type thing?
But it's not something I worry about generally.
Because some people, I'm pretty jealous because they always go for me. But then some people don't even, they get bitten, but then nothing even happens to them.
There's no reaction at all.
There's no reaction.
No histamines.
No
Correct.
Yeah,
histamines.
well, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, not me. I was in the park the other day and I just got totally nailed. But I guess it depends on, what you're wearing as well. And apparently they prefer dark clothing.
Yeah, were you wearing dark clothing?
I was wearing dark clothing. Yep. We're in Melbourne. Everyone's wearing black here and the mosquitoes are just going crazy.
And you did forget the Aerogard, clearly.
And I did forget the Aerogard. That's right. Anyway, this whole sort of swarm of mosquito thing, it sort of seems a little bit unseasonable.
It does seem a little bit early.
Yeah.
Usually we get them when it's much warmer in
Yeah.
the summertime.
And it's sort of got like hints of locust plague, like the end of humanity, blah, blah, blah.
We do like to exaggerate, though.
We do.
I've
Yeah.
I've
I
told
mean,
you
I
guys
guess.
millions of times not to exaggerate.
Anyway, for the sake of a good story, we are in the midst.
We have the plague to end all
Of a
plagues.
plague.
I think it is biblical. It is a biblical proportions.
But there is a reason for this. It hasn't come down from hell or heaven or whatever. Remember in September, there were really big floods and heavy rains in a lot of Victoria, in the Grampians, the Mildura, all the way to sort of Wodonga Way.
Oh yeah, the floods on the Murray are
floods-
still subsiding now
Yeah.
in some spots. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all that saturated ground, with all of that comes a hell of a lot of water just sort of lying around. And it's the water we can thank for this mosquito situation that we are now in the midst of. There's a lot of extra breeding areas, but also apparently mozzie eggs can lay dormant in dry soil for years. So after all this prolonged rain, all the dormant eggs from the past couple of years have hatched and are, I guess, descending, I guess you would say, upon us. So we are getting close to peak mozzie.
Peak mozzie.
More mozzies than there have been for a really long time.
But
Peak
that's
mozzie.
an interesting point. So, because that's sort of, I guess, is from practical sense of view. When is peak mozzie? Like, I mean, what makes it peak mozzie? Is like, they're going to decline presumably after peak mozzie.
Yeah. Well, they're going to decline after peak mozzie because
So how do you know we're close to peak mozzie?
because all of the eggs that have been laying dormant because they haven't been they haven't had the damp ground in the water
Yeah.
to hatch
Yeah.
have now hatched, and now
Okay.
there's no reserves left.
Yeah.
So and now there are no more floods.
Okay.
So eventually the water's going to dry up.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be any more place
So
for them
you're
to
saying
breed.
just relax and it'll be over soon?
Well, I mean, I guess I was being a bit more like a bit of an exaggerator, saying it's peak mozzie, but yeah, I mean, I guess you could take from that.
So
To relax,
also,
Chris.
we should probably hope that it doesn't rain more because
Yeah, that's
mozzies
true.
being,
Yeah.
living things, they probably want to breed.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if
That's
there's-
probably why they're eating
Exactly.
and drinking our blood as well, because they need that
yeah,
when they're actually
yeah.
in breeding season,
They
don't they?
do. They do. So, interesting point, Chris. Yes. So every mosquito that's ever bitten you is a female mosquito trying to get some blood before she lays her eggs, because they need to blood feed before the females lay eggs. So you've never had a male mosquito bite you?
Because the males bite fruit and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah, they drink out of the phloem vessels from
What
plants
if-
and stuff.
What if you resemble a fruit? Is it possible that a male could mistakenly bite
What's
you?
that? Veruca Salt? No, what's that? What's the girl who turns into a
Violet
Violet.
Beauregard. Violet, you're turning violet, Violet.
The girl from Willy Wonka that
Turns into a blueberry.
blueberry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
I'm thinking about. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, okay, if you resemble a fruit, then watch out. The male mosquitoes might get you. Eye roll, Chris. Hopefully not many of our listeners resemble fruit. Anyway, back to the main point. These mosquitoes are causing such a hassle that Victoria's health authorities have issued an early warning and surveillance for control programs for the mosquitoes. It's been brought forward. Normally, our health authorities have, programs in place to help keep down mosquito populations, but they've had to bring it forward because things are dire. So brace yourselves, everyone. The authorities, the government's getting on the mosquitoes.
Now, I've got a question.
Yes.
Are there mosquito-borne diseases in Victoria?
That is a very good question. I'm just about to get to that.
Oh, really?
Let me tell you a bit more about mosquitoes in Victoria.
Okay.
There are 275 species of mosquitoes found in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them can be found in Victoria, but a lot of them can. Fortunately, only a few of them bite humans, and fewer still are vectors of human diseases. So, to get back to your point about vector diseases, about mosquito carried diseases, so having these giant numbers of mosquitoes is problematic for both the fact that they're extremely irritating, but also this public health risk. So in Victoria, mozzies can cause Ross River virus and also Barmer forest virus, which are two diseases that are that sort of go up and down through the years about how many cases are reported.
Yep.
And there is also a very rare but very serious Murray Valley encephalitis or encephalitis, which can be fatal.
Right.
So both the Ross River virus and the Barmer forest virus are diseases that are considered endemic throughout Victoria. So that means that at any time, I guess you can get them.
So I guess I was really wrong with the whole just relax, it'll be over soon, because
you've
got to be careful of that.
Yeah, that's why the health authorities getting stuck into the mozzies.
I apologise.
But with Ross River virus and Barmer forest virus, like I said, the numbers of the cases vary quite a lot per year. So, for example, within the space of a couple of years, I mean, we're going back a fair while, but in 1993, there were 1,300 cases, and then in 1995, there were only 55 cases. So these things can fluctuate quite a lot.
Probably depending on the mosquito population.
Probably depending on the mosquito population and the amount of rain that we have. So just to go back briefly to the Murray Valley encephalitis, although it can be fatal, the most recently reported cases were in 1974.
Okay, that's a while
So
ago.
that's sort of reassuring to me. 1974 was a long time ago. And there were 58 cases recorded, and 13 of them were fatal.
Okay.
So even then you had you weren't definitely going to die.
I like your optimism.
Hopefully also they've got possibly better treatments for it than they would have in 1974.
I hope so. Yeah. But even then, there's still not been any cases reported.
Yeah, it's interesting.
then.
I wonder where it's gone or where it came from.
Yeah.
If you'd think that something you'd get maybe a few cases if it's just a low level thing, but none at all seems pretty
Suspicious.
drastic drop. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling that health authorities would be surveying the mosquito populations and just checking out what is in the populations and if that virus still exists. But if it's a human-based virus, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know how it's contracted, but wouldn't you need? I mean, like something like dengue, you need the mosquito to
bite someone who's infected
got
and then
dengue
carry
and then
it.
carry it. So if there's
If we have any mosquito disease experts out there listening, please call in.
Please. So in the meantime, authorities are suggesting all the usual things for mosquito awareness. Wear your long, loose fitting clothing, light colours, just like Stu does. Put mozzie repellent on. No one mentions mozzie coils because I don't think they work, but...
They work, but you've got to grind them up and smear them all over yourself. Then they're really effective.
Most of the research says that DEET and picaridin are the most effective mosquito repellents. Everything else is much less effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about those electrified tennis racket devices that you use to whack them when they burn up?
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
They are more of a threat than mosquitoes, though, I imagine, for electrocutions.
Okay.
I haven't seen them being sold in Australia.
I've seen them.
Have you?
Yeah.
Last time I
they're
saw them
around.
was overseas.
Yeah,
they
they're
are
around.
around.
Yeah, $2 shots and things.
Yeah, it's just that when the air's thick with mosquitoes and you just you put you do a backhand through the air and you can just hear them. Just anyway. Also, maybe think about installing some mosquito wire screens. Remove stagnant water from around your house, including your empty kiddie pools. And after it rains, when kiddie pools get all like gross and full of rainwater and then the leaves get in there and they get all disgusting. Just do yourself a favour and empty them out. And in the meantime, the health department are going to have a full-time mosquito monitor spraying parklands and areas with that has stagnant water in several council areas to try and keep the mosquito population down. But the best tip that I came up with, well, I didn't come up with it, but I came across it, to beat the bugs is goes under the heading, spiders are our friends in this case. Daddy longlegs eat mozzies, so try and cultivate a house that's accommodating to spiders, maybe in your bedroom, maybe in your bathroom, maybe in your kitchen.
I had one in my bathroom that's just, I saw feeding on a mosquito. I was very pleased.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Soon, in a couple of weeks, that that daddy longlegs will have little baby daddy longlegs,
Yep.
and then you'll have yourself a nature's electrified tennis racket. It'll be great. And instead of thinking of this mozzie boom like a total inconvenience, maybe just think of it as a bit of organic fertilizer for the ecosystem. It's like this massive biomass dump that's quite low down on the food chain. So it's gonna be feeding a lot of animals, a lot of frogs, a lot of lizards, a lot of spiders, a lot of dragonflies. So maybe it's less like a mozzie plague and more like an all-you-can-eat sizzler buffet for all the other animals.
That's all we've got time for on this episode of Lost in Science. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. Lost in Science is recorded at the studios of 3CR in Melbourne and broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network with the financial assistance of the Community Broadcasting Foundation. If you want to talk to us, talk back to us, you can get in touch. We have a Gmail account, lostinsci@gmail. You can also find us on Twitter and on the Facebook. And if that's not enough Lost in Science for you, you can always tune in again next week where the team will once again get Lost in Science!
Thanks for listening to a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online.